In 2 years, the United States of America will celebrate its 250th anniversary since its founding. Over these 250 years, the country has climbed to the top of the world's economies. America describes itself as a city built on the cliff of a mountain with the rest of the world at its feet, looking up at Washington at the peak. This country leads not only in economy, but also in trade and military power. To understand how America rushed to success, consider that the United Kingdom took twice the amount of time to reach its current economic standing, 500 years. If America's economy has soared at this rate, it is largely because of its abundant natural resources and, more importantly, the people who knew how to harness these resources to create wealth. These people possess a fighting spirit that drives them to achieve whatever they set out to do. John David Rockefeller is one such individual. His name alone is synonymous with American capitalism. Capitalism is an economic structure where wealth is earned by the person who works the hardest and devises strategies to make money, often resulting in the accumulation of wealth for the individual and poverty for others. It is an economy based on competition. If you were to ask for the face of wealth, the best example would be John D. Rockefeller. He is the epitome of a self-made man, said to have come from nothing to become one of the richest men in history. Rockefeller is considered the first billionaire in modern history, compared to Elon Musk, who can be sent to park his cars today. People no longer aspire to wealth like King Croesus or King Midas, but wish to be kings like Rockefeller. He was a king of a different sort, the oil king, whose wealth was built from petroleum. It was the same resource that helped America win World War I and contributed to its status as the richest country in the world. Due to Rockefeller's immense wealth, laws were eventually made to regulate his business practices. Rockefeller himself is said to have believed that it was his duty to earn all the money he could, keep it, and give it away as he saw fit. Even though 87 years have passed since his death, Rockefeller's legacy endures through the petroleum reserves of Ohio and Texas. The foundation he created still exists, and the people who inherited his wealth are countless. His company, Standard Oil, survived every challenge in the petroleum industry since the 19th century. Today, it has given rise to more than 34 companies that still play a significant role in the global economy. This is the story of John D. Rockefeller, the successful businessman, philanthropist, lover of art, and a man of wealth whose actions have left an indelible mark on history. However, his story is not without controversy. He was also seen as greedy, manipulative, and a liar who polluted the air. Before diving deeper into Rockefeller's life, it is essential to discuss Ida Tarbell, a groundbreaking investigative journalist who posed a direct challenge to him. Ida Tarbell, known as the White Wolf by petroleum industry insiders, was a fierce and hard-working journalist who lived between 1857 and 1944. She became Rockefeller's nemesis, much like Eliot Ness was to Al Capone. Tarbell was a shining example of the power of journalism to bring about change and hold the powerful accountable. She was one of the first investigative journalists to write stories that helped the public understand the harmful actions of the wealthy and their impact on society. Ida Tarbell's personal connection to the oil industry gave her a unique perspective. Her family had once competed with Rockefeller's Standard Oil, but they were driven out of business. Her father had started extracting oil in Pennsylvania in 1869, but after just 3 years, Rockefeller's Standard Oil Company forced him out, purchasing oil fields at a fraction of their value. Tarbell grew up in the heart of Pennsylvania's oil country, witnessing firsthand the destruction caused by the oil industry. This personal experience fueled her determination to expose Rockefeller's ruthless tactics. Standard Oil controlled 90% of all oil production in the United States, dominating the market and suppressing competition. Rockefeller used his wealth and influence to pressure railroads into raising transport fees, making it impossible for smaller competitors to afford shipping costs. As a result, many smaller companies had no choice but to sell out to Standard Oil. This monopolistic behavior would become the focus of Tarbell's campaign against Rockefeller. In the early 20th century, after years of documenting the corrupt practices of Standard Oil, Tarbell's work contributed to the passage of the Sherman Antitrust Act in 1890. This law, aimed at preventing monopolies, laid the foundation for future laws that govern competition in business. In 1906, Tarbell's reporting became a catalyst for a lawsuit that led to the breakup of Standard Oil in 1911. Despite the collapse of Standard Oil, Rockefeller's ability to turn challenges into opportunities allowed him to continue accumulating wealth. He transitioned into new business ventures, much like his contemporary Donald Trump, who is known for transforming every challenge into a money-making opportunity. John D. Rockefeller's rise to power began in Richford, New York, a small town near the Canadian border. Born into a modest family, his father was a traveling salesman who sold miracle medicines, a precursor to modern-day snake oil. John's mother raised him and his siblings under Protestant beliefs, and he was taught the importance of hard work and honesty. He studied economics in Cleveland, Ohio, and after completing his degree, he began working as a bookkeeper, where he learned the intricacies of business, bargaining, and customer attraction. In just 3 years, he saved $2,000, a small fortune at the time. During the Civil War, Rockefeller partnered with another entrepreneur in the fertilizer business. This partnership set the stage for his entry into the oil industry after learning about Colonel Drake's successful drilling of the first oil well in 1859 in Titusville, Pennsylvania. At the time, oil was viewed skeptically, but Rockefeller saw its potential as a valuable resource. This discovery marked the beginning of his empire in the oil business, leading to his eventual dominance in the industry. After processing the petroleum into lubricants, the waste byproduct was poured into rivers. Colonel Edwin Drake was the first to realize that this waste could be used to run engines without relying on whale oil. Whale oil, derived from ocean whales, was once used to fuel engines and light bulbs. After Drake discovered that petroleum could be flammable, the economy of the United States soared within 30 years. The invention of the engine powered by oil revolutionized industries, as machines could run continuously without relying on whale oil. Rockefeller was intrigued by this discovery and made his way to Pennsylvania to meet Colonel Drake. Drake explained the process and how the machine he invented separated the oil. Rockefeller found it fascinating and bought Drake out for $4,000, along with the oil reservoir. He partnered with a chemist named Samuel Andrews, and together they founded a petroleum processing company, naming it Rockefeller, Andrews, and Flagler. This marked the beginning of the Rockefeller oil empire. By 1870, this company became the Standard Oil Company of Ohio, valued at $1 million. Cleveland became the capital city of oil in America, and Rockefeller aimed to become the king of oil. However, Rockefeller did not play by the usual market rules and regulations. He was manipulative and greedy, and his actions were driven by the desire for wealth, with little regard for ethics. Once he established his company, he began acquiring any oil-related businesses in the United States. In 1871, he struck a deal with a railroad company, which provided a significant advantage to Standard Oil. The agreement allowed Rockefeller to receive discounts on transporting his oil, while competitors were charged higher rates. This practice made it nearly impossible for other companies to compete, leading many of them to sell out to Standard Oil. By 1875, Rockefeller had bought 25 out of the 27 available companies in Titusville, Pennsylvania. He repeated this process in other cities like Pennsburg, Philadelphia, and New York. In 1890, he reached an agreement with the railroad companies to increase shipping prices for his competitors while keeping his own prices low. As a result, Standard Oil became the only company processing and trading oil in almost every part of America. Rockefeller set the price of oil, and he had the power to change the price at will. Rockefeller's expansion was relentless. He acquired every part of the oil business, from refining and trading to transportation and pipeline manufacturing. By 1884, he controlled a quarter of the oil sold in the United States, and he used various strategies to evade laws aimed at limiting monopolies. In 1888, he restructured Standard Oil into a trust, which helped him circumvent legal restrictions. By 1890, Rockefeller controlled 90% of the oil business in America. Although he retired in 1887, Rockefeller continued to oversee his vast empire, which generated billions of dollars annually. His son took charge of Standard Oil Company, and the company continued to grow. However, by the early 20th century, his monopolistic practices attracted the attention of the government. In 1906, President Theodore Roosevelt ordered the Supreme Court of Ohio to investigate Rockefeller. In 1911, the court found Standard Oil guilty of monopolizing the oil market and ordered the company to be dismantled. Rockefeller was given 6 months to break up his company. The dissolution of Standard Oil led to the creation of 34 companies, many of which remain influential today. 9 of these companies retained the Standard Oil name, while others became well-known names such as Conoco, Exxon, and Mobil. Exxon, the successor to Standard Oil, is now one of the largest oil companies in the United States and the second largest in the world, after Saudi Aramco. In the aftermath of World War II, 3 major companies, Exxon, formerly Standard Oil, Royal Dutch Shell, American Texaco, and the English and Iranian Oil Company, formed a coalition called the Seven Sisters. These companies controlled 85% of the world's oil market. Today, companies like BP, ExxonMobil, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips continue the legacy of Rockefeller and Standard Oil. Rockefeller passed away in 1937 at the age of 97, just 2 years before the outbreak of World War II. It's hard to believe he truly died, considering the immense power and influence his companies still wield. His descendants, including 5 children, hundreds of grandchildren, and countless great-grandchildren, continue to be prominent business people and among the wealthiest in the world. Before his death, Rockefeller owned 1.5% of America's wealth, a fortune that today is worth about $400 billion. This wealth has been passed down to his descendants, who now hold positions of influence in the government. Many governors, senators, and business leaders today can trace their wealth and power back to the Rockefeller family. This method of wealth accumulation and control has contributed to the economic imbalance we see in the world today, where a small number of individuals are wealthier than the rest of us combined.